What's up, my good people of the internet? Happy to be hanging out with you where sports meets life. We appreciate you being here every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Appreciate your patience here this morning as we were up late last night broadcasting with you in Tortora and Elford, our Syracuse Orange football special that I had last night with Isaac Elford. So we appreciate your patience here this morning, getting you set and ready to go on a Thursday. And if it's Thursday, you know what that means. That means it's Papa Joe Thursday. So we're going to have some fun here with PJ this morning. We got a lot of things to get into. We're going to be bringing you our college football week 2 recap and pick results, as well as our college football week 3 picks, our NFL week 1 recap and pick results, our NFL week 2 picks, Jacksonville Jaguars Talk, and Major League Baseball, all inside Ma and Pa's Popcorn.com's What's Poppin'. And so you could go to Ma and Pa's. If you're down in Florida like PJ, you could go to Ma and Pa's Popcorn.com and get those snacks and have them sent right to your doorstep. If you're here in Central and Upstate New York, you can go to 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York, and you can enjoy those fantastic flavors for your taste buds right now, sweet and savory, today and all throughout the week. So, with that being said, we welcome you here on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT and on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com worldwide. Up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around this spinning globe. PJ, how we doing today?
Good morning, Daniel. I'm just fine. Just waiting to see what's shaking out in baseball. A lot of action, but nothing really scary.
Yeah, baseball's been interesting. We're going to get to baseball here later on in the show. We're going to mix it up a little bit here because we're going to start things off with college football and where we were last week. So we do our picks every single week for college football and for the NFL here with PJ. So we do it on Thursdays. I have to be patient about it because I always want to give my picks. I want to do it early. I want to give my thoughts. So but I stay as patient as I possibly can to make sure that we could do these picks here on Thursday. We're going to go back to week 2. And the picks are up on the screen right now, PJ. So taking a look at some of these games we picked, and we'll go back to it right now. We chose Notre Dame. Well, pardon me. You chose Notre Dame. I chose Colorado. So you were right on Notre Dame. Or pardon me, not Colorado, NC State. I was wrong on that. We both chose Colorado, which is correct. So we got that one right. And then we go down the line here on the schedule for week 2, and we both chose the Lane Train to get it done here. And so, looking at some of these games that we had, some of them are similar, some of them are different. There's so many. That's the thing about this too, is there's so many games, especially on Saturday, that you got to sift through this and try to find it. That's why we don't do every single game. We do a portion of the games to get it right here and to make sure that we have what we need. So looking at the SEC for a second here, let me make sure that we pull that up here. The SEC that we had Ole Miss and the Lane Train over Tulane. Tulane made the game interesting, but ultimately the Lane Train won, so we got that one right. And then we took Texas A&M in their game against Miami, and Miami scores 48 points in that game, gets the dub. So we got that wrong for Texas A&M. We both chose Syracuse, who won 48-7 over a visiting Western Michigan team, so we got that right. And then we chose Oklahoma, where the wind goes. So we chose them, and we had the Oklahoma Sooners that will soon to be, not in the Big 12, but in the SEC. Oklahoma wins their game over SMU 28-11. SMU, believe it or not, got to be joining the ACC. So we both chose Oklahoma. We both got that one correct. Then in the Cincinnati Pitt game that I told you would be close, you chose Cincinnati, I chose Pittsburgh, and the game ends up going in favor in this one to the Cincinnati Bearcats 27-21 in a close matchup like I thought it would be. You got that one right. I got that one wrong, so we're going to go ahead and cross that out. We both chose Bama over Texas. We'll talk about that game. We were both wrong on that one. And we chose the Go Gators over McNeese State. We got that one correct. And so we got to give ourselves some credit for that one. Florida getting a deli dub. And then the final one that we had here was our game, which was the last game of the week as far as a Saturday night's game. Hawaii defeats Albany in Hawaii 31-20. And so we go with that. Now we both came in with a 9-2 record. And we look at this right now. PJ had 1, 2, 3, and 1, 4 and 1, 5, 6 and 1, 6 and 2, 7 and 2, 8 and 2. So PJ comes 8 and 2 after this week. And let's see, mine is 1 and 1, 2 and 1, 2 and 2, 3 and 2, 4 and 2, 4 and 3, 4 and 4, 5, 6. So PJ beats me this week. I go 6 and 4. He goes 8 and 2. So I'm 6 and 4. He's 8 and 2, which means that overall PJ is 17 and 4, and I am 15 and 6. Your thoughts, PJ?
Well, there were some good games. I watched the Ole Miss game, and that was a really, really good game. Frankly, Tulane lost that game. They did lose the game, but they actually lost it while they were playing it. They didn't close the game out too well. It was a very good game. And of course, the Texas Alabama game was exciting also. I mean, I watched that one too, and I just, for all you people out there that are SEC haters, I think you're probably coming through now because the SEC may not be as strong this year as they have been. Don't take my word for gospel here now. There's still a lot of games to be played, but some of the bigger schools are not playing up to snuff. One being Alabama, of course. Georgia's still very tough. There's going to be some really good games here in the next 2-3 weeks to find out if the SEC is as strong as they usually are. Well, right now, I don't see that.
Yeah, the SEC has, had some struggles. Alabama, here's the thing. Alabama is already, we're a couple weeks into the season. Alabama has a loss. Clemson of the ACC has a loss. What are your thoughts on that? PJ, I mean, where are we in college football? Because you and I both know there's 12 weeks, which means that if you lose one singular game at any single point, you could be out of the college football playoff. What are your thoughts on Alabama and Clemson?
Well, the Clemson game was an enigma. I thought that they didn't play as well as they should have, and they have a really good quarterback that was a 5-star that joined them. And once the Ugalele guy left, he was supposed to be the second coming, but he didn't play that well. And Clemson, I've said this a couple of weeks in a row now that Florida State is going to be the cream of that crop. And right now, they're in the driver's seat. And they can win it out, and they can get into the playoffs if they win it out. Maybe with one loss, maybe not. But that's the essence of it. And Alabama with one loss, and they were actually outplayed by Texas. Texas quarterback Ewers, which is you get a 4-year starter there, just about 3 years, just about. So he's he's threw well, ran well when he had to. Really, really good game. And Nick Saban, you could tell that him pacing the sidelines the way he does. He was pacing a little more urgently this last week, because he really couldn't see his team winning. Now Alabama has the knack of getting a regular, all-around good football player to play quarterback. And they've got some good ones, Mac Jones and, of course, Bryce Young and those guys, but
yeah,
they don't – he doesn't have a real stud all the time. He doesn't have a 6'5" guy that can sit back there and wing it. Nick does not like that kind of football, and I know you do. But Milroe is an average quarterback for Alabama, but he can run like the wind. And if they want to put those plays in for him, and that's fine. I don't feel that way about running quarterbacks. if you want to get to the NFL, you're going to have to be a lot stronger. He's going to be a lot better with his arm. He's not a very good thrower at all, but he's a badass runner, that's for sure. So Nick's got to come up with something else. If the next couple of weeks this middle road kid doesn't pan out, he's going to have to go to someone else because he needs the egotism to continue on with the playoffs because he does not like to lose. Period. If he's outplayed, that's fine, but he does not like to lose. And frankly, he lost to a better team this last weekend.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. That's what it comes down to. Texas, and I give Texas credit because in my opinion, with Texas joining the SEC next season and Oklahoma as well, I don't feel like these teams are going to have great records running through the gamut of the SEC. But give them credit where credit's due. They went head to head with Alabama early on in the season, and you don't see games like this, typically, but we got to see a big-time game 2 weeks into the season, and I say we don't get to see games like this because a lot of these teams, knowing that the college football playoff is coming, they don't want to play any game that can affect them in any way, shape, or form out of conference from keeping them out of the playoff, and yet Alabama and Texas were willing to play this game. We'll see if Nick Saban lets this game get scheduled down the road, but now they're going to have to play in conference. But I mean, a game like this so early on in the season, and unfortunately for Alabama, it doesn't go their way. Fortunately for Texas, it raises them up the rankings and puts them in a really good place right now. So I mean, Texas, they've been through different coaches over the years. I mean, they've had two coaches that I've gotten to know and interview and sit down with, Charlie Strong and Tom Herman. And now, we're seeing a new era of them again. They're fourth in the nation at the time that we're talking right now. And so, I mean, it's good things for Texas. It's a tough thing for Alabama. And looking at Alabama and Clemson, the two darlings of the college football playoff in most of its history, its young history. And here we are with both of them with a loss. Typically the ones we see playing for the championship are getting close to it. And shout out to my mom. Good morning. Shout out to Michael here. Big road game for the Cuse at Purdue. Yep, we did Tortora and Alfred last night, Michael. So I will talk a little bit about it. But if you want expanded coverage of Syracuse Orange football, make sure that you go to Tortora and Alfred's last episode, which aired last night and will stay timely all the way through to game day, which is Saturday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time in Lafayette, Indiana, for the Syracuse at Purdue game. So PJ goes 8-2, I go 6-4, and that means PJ's got a better record than I do and some bragging rights as we move forward here. Well, PJ, let's move forward into college football and let's take a look at week 3 in the college football world. There's some games I'm going to circle here for us to do, and I will start off here. I do want to let everybody know here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora with Papa Joe and myself, Dan Tortora, a.k.a. DT. We got a game tonight that's got a connection to PJ. And that game, which starts off college football week 3, it's the first game of college football week 3, technically with another game at the exact same time. The ACC Network and ESPN both airing games at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. They're both owned by Disney, which means Disney's making all that bank. So, both games tonight, Bethune-Cookman at Miami and Navy at Memphis. Memphis is leading the American Athletic Conference, and Bethune-Cookman is where PJ went to school. What do you have for these two games, PJ, which are airing tonight, Thursday, September 14th, at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time simultaneously?
The BCC is stepping out a little bit here against Miami, but they've come a long way in the last 5 years or so. They're not certainly a big name football school. I mean, they're a 1A school, but they don't. They're just in the bottom portion of the 1A. They usually would get killed against most these good teams. Miami should win the game easily, but BCC is 1-1 this year. They can probably just maybe coming out 7-3, 6-4, something like that this year. But against a big team, a big time team like Miami, I think they lose this one.
Yeah, I got Miami in this matchup as well, getting the victory. Some people are asking if Miami's back, and I say let's pump the brakes and let's see how they do because I was high on Miami a couple of years ago and they fell apart at the end of the season. So it was a different coach at the time. Now they have Mario Cristobal. They beat Texas A&M and Jimbo Fisher. Jimbo. I tell you that Jameis Winston, he is one hell of a player. I tell you that right now. So Jameis and the old school FSU with Jimbo Fisher. He goes to Texas A&M, which still makes me sad. And Miami gets a victory over him. So some positives there. I'll go with Miami in this one as well. Navy at Memphis. Navy under Brian Newberry, who took over when Kenya Matalolo and Navy parted ways. And Newberry, who is hired to be the defensive coordinator, took over as head coach. I got a good relationship with both Kenya Matalolo and Brian Newberry. And Brian and I spoke going into this season. They started their season in Dublin, Ireland against Notre Dame. They're on the road at Memphis. I also have spent time speaking with Ryan Silverfield, the head coach of the Memphis Tigers, who has this team looking pretty good coming out of the gate. What are your thoughts, PJ? They actually played Bethune-Cookman as well, 56-14 at home, and Arkansas State on the road, 37-3. Speaking of the Memphis Tigers and the Navy midshipmen, after playing the game that they had in Dublin, Ireland against Notre Dame, they faced off against Wagner, who Syracuse played last season, beat Wagner 24-0 after losing to Notre Dame 42-3. What do you have in this one between Navy and Memphis in Memphis, Tennessee?
No, I remember watching Navy over the years where they had a running quarterback, quote unquote. Would run most of the time, pass very little. I hope they change their ways because they're not going to win any games running the ball. I think that Memphis wins this game easily too. I think they're too many athletes. Navy, of course, is always saddled with not having the best athletes. They just have the best men, which I don't have a problem with. But the best men certainly don't play the best football. So that's what we got right there with Memphis winning this one.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Memphis in this one, and the best chicken barbecue that I've ever had in my life. So I'm going to go with Memphis in this matchup. I hope Navy keeps it interesting today, but I'm going to go with the Mems on this one. So PJ and I are going M&M, Miami and Memphis, to start things off. We got a game that would have been an ACC game in the past, but this team chose to leave the ACC. So on Friday, September 15th, Virginia will play at Maryland. Maryland, a former ACC school, still would have made sense in the ACC, but they're not there anymore. What do you have for Virginia at Maryland on Friday night?
I think Virginia is probably going to be one of the better teams in the ACC this year, and I think that they don't trip up against Maryland.
See, in the thing here about Virginia, and I like Tony Elliott, their head coach, they've started off the season 0-2. They just lost to James Madison 36-35, and that was at home. They also lost to Tennessee at home, and now they have to play Maryland. Maryland's been a bunch where they've been okay. They've had their moments. They're 2-0 to start off this season. They beat Towson and they beat Charlotte. And so I'm actually going to go with the hometown Terps in this one, and I'm going to keep my record of picking teams this week, not on purpose, but that start with the letter M. So I'm going to go Maryland. PJ is going to go Virginia. It's the first one that we disagree on. Once again, we don't know each other's picks and until we do them live here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. So as you see our picks around the world, we're seeing each other's picks. And we'll head to Saturday now, PJ. Florida State, FSU. And I'm going to do this for Mary, and I hope she hears in the background. Oh! So we have Florida State at Boston College. Starts off Saturday at noon Eastern time on ABC. So Florida State, third in the country, should be first in the country. In my opinion, if we're going week by week and we're talking about who we're playing and who we're beating, Florida State, not saying head up that they would beat Georgia necessarily right now, but the best team in the country right now based on level of play and the game and the opponents that they've gone up against, it's got to be Florida State. However, we know that the rankings are set up to make sure that they take care of certain things, just like Michigan is number 2 in the country, and nobody knows why. So Florida State at Boston College. BC made it interesting a couple years ago. Is there any chance for Boston College in this one, or is this all Florida State?
Usually I would say no, but not this time. They have a marginal chance of being there, but I think the nation will probably see a really good Florida State football team. And you've heard me over the last couple of years saying that this is the year that Mike Norvell would break through, and he's going to break through big time. If he can keep his team motivated, he's playing a lot of weak. He doesn't have a good schedule. He's playing some weak opponents. This is one of the weak opponents, but I think that Florida State will just have so many better athletes that it will be right off. If you look at the line of scrimmage, the first couple of plays, you can just know which way it's going to go. So it's Florida State should win.
Yeah, and then we have I'm going to pick Florida State in this game as well. I mean, I hope Jeff Hafley and BC make the game interesting, but I think that this is one of those games to start off the weekend that is going to probably end up lopsided in the end. I'm going with FSU. However, I hope BC makes the game interesting. Zach Arnett in the Mississippi State Bulldogs. I want to call them the Cowboys. The Mississippi State Bulldogs will be at home this Saturday. And when they're home this Saturday, they're going to be facing off against a team called LSU. And the Ragin' Cajun, he's not there. Miss ya at Ogeron. We got Brian Kelly coming into town for his second season with LSU. What do you have for LSU and Mississippi State?
This one throws me here. This one shouldn't be a contest, but it could be a contest. This is the type of game where LSU was going to trip up playing at Mississippi State. I really had a tough time trying to come up with a winner on this game, looking at the line and things like that. I'm not really sold on LSU's quarterback. I think the defense is probably going to carry them this year, but if they're playing Mississippi State at home, and I'm really going to go out on the edge here, Daniel. I'm going to pick Mississippi State at home.
All right, Mississippi State at home. This is a game too for me. Like you talk about it and talk about a pick'em game. I'm sitting here trying to figure out in the moment. I'm like, I'm going LSU, and then I'm sitting here thinking, I'm going, but you got to trust your gut. You got to go with your gut. My gut says Mississippi State, so I'm going to go with Mississippi State to win this game in this matchup inside of the SEC. Here's something fun. LIU, the Long Island University Sharks, who play in the same conference now, Division I, as Lemoyne, which is the NEC, the Northeast Conference. Well, some of the Northeast Conference teams, institutions have football teams. Obviously, Lemoyne does not, but Long Island does. So the NEC will be playing against Baylor. And I want to make note of this since they're in the same conference as Lemoyne. Do the Long Island Sharks have any chance against the Baylor Bears?
No.
I love when you do that. No.
I don't know anything about LIU. Didn't even know there was a university out there, but they're stepping out. I wonder how much money they're going to get to play this game. $500,000 maybe, $750,000.
Give me that bank. Baylor. I'm going with Baylor in this one as well. I love the Long Island University logo. I am a fan of the logo, and I will deny that I said that when they play Lemoyne. But here's the thing. Long Island University inside of the NEC, all jokes aside, good to see the NEC playing some Division I-A football and up against Baylor on the road. And like you said, they're going to make money doing this one. So, shout out to them. I'm going to go with Baylor in this matchup. Going down the line here, I'm looking for any potential upset pieces here. South Carolina plays at number 1 ranked Georgia at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time on CBS. CBS is also the same channel that has what on it? Big Brother. So, PJ, South Carolina at Georgia is at 3:30. And then UNMT on Sunday are going to be watching Big Brother with me. So what do you have for South Carolina and Georgia?
Georgia should win the game, obviously, but there's something going on with Georgia. They look like they're playing well, but they're not playing well, in my opinion. They had the one cupcake. You know, Georgia should win this game easy, but South Carolina could come in and sneak it. But I think the nation will probably finally find out that the big badass Georgia is who it still is, and they'll probably win this game easy. So the rest of the nation can see this one.
Yeah, I'm going with Georgia in this matchup. South Carolina's played spoiler. They played spoiler last year to Tennessee. They actually got after a bunch of teams last year. But I'm going to go with Georgia in this one and pick them to win the game. However, I do want to give a big-time shout out to the head football coach of the South Carolina Gamecocks, Shane Beamer, son of Frank Beamer, who I got to speak with in my coverage of the ACC, and the longtime Hokies head coach. Shane Beamer's doing a terrific job in South Carolina, getting this team into places where they can play spoiler and getting this team into places where they've done some really good things and shined in certain areas. And I mean, they took down Tennessee, who I thought at a time last year was the best team in football. They took them down last year, and they were one of the reasons why Tennessee didn't make the college football playoffs. So they can play spoiler. That's why I circled the game, but I'm going to go with Georgia in this matchup. How about this? Fly Slam Jamma Bama is going on the road to South Florida. How about that? They're going to South Florida on ABC, Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida. So you can, PJ, hop in the car with MT, travel a couple hours, and you can see Nick Saban and the Crimson Roll Tide, let's roll some Tide. You could see them right there in Tampa this weekend. Alabama agreeing to travel. Alabama's probably sitting here going right now, we're not making a schedule like this again. So what are your thoughts about Alabama at South Florida?
I think Alabama wins this game easy. I think you'll finally see what I've been talking about with their quarterback. He'll have an easy game of it this week, but not against a good team. If he can control the ball and throw small, dinky passes, and they run the ball, they should, eat up the clock and win it easy. South Florida just can't make any mistakes. That's all. They have to come up with a gimmick every once in a while to keep Alabama off stride. But I think Alabama wins easy.
Yeah, South Florida starting off the season. I spoke with their head coach, Coach Golish, and Coach Golish and I spoke about where they were with him taking over, what this team's makeup was, and really what it comes down to is he had to replace Alex Golish had to replace half of the team. He brought in 50 new players onto this team. Everybody's talking about what Primetime did, what Dion did. Well, Alex Golish at South Florida had to bring in 50, and in UNC Charlotte, another guy sat down with head coach Biff Poggi. He had to bring in at least 50, if not more, to have a roster for this season. So it's not just Dion that's doing it, and Golish has the team at 1-1 this season, losing at Western Kentucky 41-24, defeating Florida A&M 38-24, and South Florida just really looking for a positive move in the right direction after a long history of some rough seasons after they lost the guy who I think really brought them to a special place, and that's Willie Taggart. So no matter what anybody says about Willie Taggart, listen, he's the one that got South Florida in the right direction, and it was unfortunate that he's not there anymore. So I'm going to go with Alabama as well. I just hope that the game's interesting, and like you said, some gimmicks, some fun. Maybe they can make some things interesting as we go here. Minnesota is coming to North Carolina on ESPN at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. North Carolina is ranked. Minnesota is not. There's some Big Ten ACC matchups going on here this week, including Northwestern at Duke. So what do you think, PJ? Minnesota at North Carolina, Northwestern at Duke. Both of the ACC teams are ranked. Neither one of the Big Ten teams are ranked. They're at the same time on the Big Ten Network. Who do you have for these? One's on ESPN, Minnesota at North Carolina, and on the ACC Network, it's Northwestern at Duke. So who do you have for these games as North Carolina and Duke, not in basketball, are ranked in college football?
It's good to see the Big Ten play another conference. Unfortunately, Minnesota is not one of the better teams. I hope they can beat Ohio State later on or Michigan later on, but they won't win this game. I think North Carolina is just a little too good.
And then the next one, Northwestern at Duke. What do you have for that one?
Well, that's a good one.
I'm also going to go with North Carolina over Minnesota.
On the edge with Duke.
And you're going to go with Duke here. So North Carolina and Duke right by each other in the polls, 20 and 21 in the AP. I'm going to go with North Carolina as well, and I'm also going to go with Duke this week. Duke, obviously, beating Clemson, made a statement. Their quarterback, who hails from the state of Alabama, who's been on my show, and we built a really good relationship, is Riley Leonard. And I feel like he has an opportunity when everybody's talking about this and that guy for the Heisman, and what about Drake May for the Heisman in North Carolina. I think Riley Leonard should be in that conversation right now. So I look forward to seeing what he could do at home. And I love what Mike Elko's doing with the Duke Blue Devils and how he helped to turn that around last season. It looked like he turned it around in a season, and I caution people because my gut tells me you can't turn everything around in a season. However, he got them in the right direction. He got them bowl eligible. Now they have a chance to do some other special things, and I think they will against Northwestern, and I think North Carolina takes care of Minnesota. However, I'm a little bit more concerned about that game than I am about the Duke game. The next matchup that we have here to speak about, PJ, as we go down the line, is your go
Gators
facing off against the Tennessee Volunteers. Tennessee Volunteers on the road at the Florida Gators. Some early SEC. This is what I can appreciate about the SEC schedule this season. Their early games in the first 3 weeks are, they are not only teams playing each other in conference, but they're big time, prime time games. Tennessee at Florida at 7 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN. Tennessee's ranked. Florida is not. What do you have for this one, PJ?
Well, you know where my heart will be.
Yeah.
I just don't know what Florida's going to do this year. I'm trying to read everything all day, every day, and try to get some snippets here and there about the quarterbacking situation or what they can do on defense. They're not a very good team right now, and even though Tennessee is coming to the Swamp, it's a terrible place to play for sure. For the visiting team, that's for sure. Daniel, I can't not pick Florida, but I am going to pick Tennessee. I'm not going to pick Florida. I think Tennessee wins the game. It may be a close game, but it's too early in the season for me to judge Florida and where they're going to be. I originally thought maybe they'd be 7-6 or 8-5 or something like that, but they're not going to win this game.
Yeah, I got to go with Tennessee in this matchup as well. Josh Heupel, spent time with him when he was at UCF. Really happy for what he's doing at Tennessee. And I mean, listen, all the respect, Danny White, too, the leader of the athletic department at UCF, who went off to Tennessee and took Heupel with him. I just feel like Tennessee is dangerous. I feel like last year they were dangerous. I know last year's last year, this year's this year. I think Tennessee knows what it feels like to go through what they went through last year, and I think now they're in a place and prime to put themselves in a position where they can maybe have a better result this time around. They're going to have to deal with the Florida States and whatnot to get into the college football playoff, but with Alabama losing, Tennessee sees some daylight there in the SEC in grabbing a spot in the college football playoff. So I'm going to go with Tennessee, and I hope the Gators start to figure things out and get in the right direction. Hopefully at some point this season they can turn that corner, and we shall see as we go.
Point I want to make with this
Yeah.
game, Daniel.
Yeah.
The quarterback for Tennessee has been around a long time. It seems like he's got 10 years in the college, but his name is Joe Milton, and he's a big guy. 6'5", 6'6", 240 pounds, sort of like an Anthony Richardson kind of guy. And he's got an absolute rifle for an arm, and he's been known to throw the ball over 100 yards. So you can see the air fill up with this guy. I'm not sure what kind of quarterback he is. He's going to have to be a lot better than what he's shown, but he certainly has the physical attributes to do this.
Yeah, Yeah, and listen, I mean, this is a game that you got to circle and you got to watch. I know it's around the same time that Syracuse's game is kicking off, but if you have YouTube TV, you can watch picture-in-picture games like The Matrix, like I do. I love going home and putting as many games on the television as I possibly can, so I will be doing that after going to Beacon Skiff, baby, because I'm getting some cider donuts on Saturday. Before we get to our NFL and before we take a step aside, PJ, I do want to get a few more games in here. James Madison's had themselves a good season so far, and they're going on the road at Troy. James Madison's now a Division 1A team. They're in the Sun Belt, and they are 2-0 right now. The Dukes are. They beat Bucknell 38-3, and they just beat Virginia on the road 36-35. Does James Madison continue to impress and win, and maybe try to squeak their way into the bottom part of the top 25? Do they defeat Troy?
Who are they playing?
Troy.
Troy.
They're playing one guy named Troy. Yes.
I haven't. This game wasn't on my calendar to look at, so I'm gonna have to defer to you. I just maybe going by James Madison after beating Virginia. Maybe James Madison could win this game.
Yeah, I'm gonna put James Madison on here to win it. Had to throw a little curveball here and give some respect to James Madison. And to Troy, too. I mean, hopefully it's a good game. I'm going to go with James Madison in the matchup. There's a couple other ones I wanted to hit before we took a step aside. This could be a trip up here. Arkansas started off the season well inside of the SEC. BYU is not an independent anymore. They are a Big 12 team. And so what are your thoughts, PJ, on ESPN2? There are so many games tonight Saturday night, worth watching on ESPN and on all of these channels. At 7 o'clock, basically what I'm telling you is at 7 p.m. or 7:30 p.m., you need to be at home. Or you need to be at the Wildcat or Pizza Man. You need to be somewhere where you can be immersed in college football around 7 o'clock this Saturday, because this is when it all goes down. So, this Saturday, big-time games. Another one, I think, is going to be BYU at Arkansas. What do you have for that one?
I think they're pretty easily matched, but I think Arkansas being at home is going to be my pick.
I'm going to go with a last-second field goal by BYU. So, I'm going to go BYU in this matchup. The Cougars, I'm going to go with them to win this game. As PJ goes the Razorbacks, I go Cougars in that matchup. For Arkansas BYU, a closely matched game. I agree with you on that. Florida Atlantic and Tom Herman, the former Houston coach, who then went to Texas, who is now at FAU, he is going to go on the road and face off against Dabo Swinney at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on the ACC Network. What do you have for Florida Atlantic and Clemson?
Well, Jimbo's going to have to work some magic this year. He doesn't have the best team. He thinks he does. He has the best team because he talks so much. But I think Texas A&M wins this game.
Oh, no, I got Florida Atlantic at Clemson. Sorry. So the Florida Atlantic playing off against Clemson and Dabo. What you have for this one?
Oh, not Texas A&M.
No, not Texas A&M. Hey, okay.
Anyway, Clemson looks awful, but they're going to win.
And so, yeah, I'm going to go with Clemson as well in this matchup. I'm going to go with the Clemson Tigers over the Florida Atlantic, now in the American Athletic Conference Owls. I hope that they make this game somewhat interesting here and have some fun with it. TCU at Houston, PJ. They play each other when in non-conference games. This is actually a conference game. They're both in the Big 12 now. What do you have for TCU at Houston?
TCU is still licking their wounds from prime time. I think Houston wins this game.
Yeah, I got Houston in this matchup as well. Houston at home, I think they're just going to provide too much for TCU. And I do think that this low-key could be one of the games of the week. And, you know, with these teams playing each other in some really good games over the last couple of years that were non-conference, and now it's considered a conference game. Last game I have for you, PJ, 10 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN, Colorado State at Colorado. Can Colorado, the Buffaloes, go 3-0 under Deion Sanders? What do you think about Colorado State at Colorado?
Well, if you've been paying attention to college football the last couple of weeks, you know the story about Colorado. Truly remarkable story. I thought after the first week against TCU that they would be a flash in the pan, but then they soundly beat a Nebraska team that maybe was a little overrated because of Rule coming in. Deion does not want to coach in the NFL. He wants to stay coaching young men. It brings him a lot of pleasure. And unfortunately for him, he's got a quarterback who's a son that actually looks like he's a serious player. And he's putting up some good stats. He's a smart young man. And I really believe that Cheddar could possibly be in the running for the Heisman this year. He is that good. He's got a good arm. He's got a good head on his shoulders. And I think the rest of the nation is still waiting for Colorado to hook up, to miss up. But the rest of us know that if he could put together 3 or 4 wins like this, you never know what's going to happen. I think they win this game easily because they're at home. I don't know anything about Colorado State at all, but I sure know a lot about Colorado, and he does have a very good team.
Yeah, I mean, I got more than likely a flight to catch early in the morning, but my butt's going to be up watching Colorado State and Colorado, so I'm going to have to nap at some point during the day. I'm going with Colorado in this game to win it. Obviously, their quarterback, Shedeur Sanders, what he's been able to do, what this team has been able to do right off the bat has been truly amazing. And I love watching this story, and I love seeing this. What Deion's been doing, what the team's been doing, bringing it all together has really been something special for Colorado. And who would have thunk? I mean, when Deion said he was going to Colorado, I was like, really? Like, why are you going to Colorado? But again, I don't think that things happen by accident, and I don't think that necessarily something happens overnight, because the reality to me was Deion goes to Colorado. I'm like, why is he going to Colorado, to the middle of the state, or to the middle of the country? What's making him do this? And then what does Colorado do shortly after he announces that he's going to be their head coach? They say that they're going back to the Big 12. So I feel like maybe, just maybe, there was a plan for that when they went to hire Deion. That's just my thought. And now Colorado's got one more season in the Pac-12 and an opportunity to continue to make some cool history. So I like it. I appreciate it. There's one last game we have to do. It's from a team called Syracuse. I don't know if y'all are familiar with it from listening here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. They're called the Orange. They're playing Purdue, the Boilermakers, this season. They played them last season in the same week 3. They won the game 32-29. However, the quarterback of Purdue is Card. Last season, it was O'Connell. Last season, Syracuse had a big-time plays, I should say, by Garrett Williams. He's in the NFL now with the Arizona Cardinals. Last season, Garrett Schrader threw to 5 different players in the game. 4 of those 5 players will not be playing in this game for Syracuse. So this, albeit a rematch, is a rematch with different players and a different look. By the way, Syracuse's offensive and defensive coordinators were different last year than who they are this year. So this game at Purdue, although Syracuse won last year, is going to be very different when it comes to what we have on paper. But will the outcome be the same is the question. Syracuse, Purdue. What do you have, PJ?
That's good information you put up for everyone. Didn't realize all that was happening. Didn't realize they lost their coordinators, too. Let's face it, Syracuse has looked really good in the first couple of games, but a cupcake here, a cupcake there. Purdue ain't no cupcake. And Purdue will play hard and fast, and I like Purdue in this game. I hate to go against Syracuse, but I think Purdue is a little tougher.
PJ going with Purdue in this matchup, and I'm fitting it up here. So we got Purdue for PJ, and I am going with Syracuse. I think Syracuse could pull away in this game. I also think that this game could be very close, down to the wire, like nail biter, watch it to the end. I think my guy Brady Denneberg, who hails from Merritt Island, Florida, I think our kicker, the kicker here for this squad, I think he's going to have to really shine, and he might be in a position where he's going to have to make some key. I think he's going to have, and I said it last night on the show, and Tortora and Alfred, I think he's going to have to make 3 field goals, arguably, in this matchup. He might have to make one from 50 plus. This is a game where I think it might come down to how well can the kicker play for Syracuse, Brady Denneberg. We shall see as we move forward, but I'm excited to watch this game. I'm excited to see this game unfold. I think it's Syracuse's first big challenge of the season, and it's on the road. They have been a better road team under Dino than they were under other people in recent history, but I'm going to go with the Syracuse Orange in a close, hard-fought matchup between a Big Ten school and an ACC school, with Syracuse squeaking it out. With that being said, we're going to squeak out for a second here for a fast break. When we come back, we'll head to the NFL. How well did PJ and I do in our ushering in of the 2023-24 NFL season? What do our records look like as we step forward? He's beating me by a couple games in college football. Where do we stand in the NFL? And we'll be running the gamut, making the picks, talking Jaguars, and jumping into some Major League Baseball in hour 2, right after this.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge, and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item, available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating. Find them at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and all the time online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, you can order all throughout the country at maandpaspopcorn.com. And remember to get your tins, which have in-store half-price refills forever. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, available to you for fundraising and all of your events by calling 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks, your premier place for all your sports card needs, happens on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, right off of Teal Ave. They are open 7 days a week for you folks. Make sure you head out to GG Cards and Breaks Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sundays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. They have singles as well as slabs, aka graded cards. They have packs, boxes, and we are constantly doing box breaks and pack breaks and battles and tin battles at GG Cards and Breaks. You can watch all of our videos and all of our content on our social media at Wake Up Call DT on Facebook, at Call DT on X, and at Wake Up Call _DT on Instagram, as well as on our YouTube channel at Wake Up Call DT. GG Cards and Breaks, the place that helped me go back and relive my childhood every single day. It's a place I literally go to on a Monday and want to go back to on a Tuesday. Not a lot of places make you feel that way. That's why they're so special. Find out what I mean by heading over to GG Cards and Breaks today to see Josh, Anthony, and the team on 639 Delmar Place, right off of Teal Ave in Syracuse, New York. With that being said, PJ and I are here with our NFL Week 1 recap picks and going to make our picks for Week 2. So taking a look at what we had right and what we had wrong as we go through here and then get set for NFL Week 2. So let's start with Thursday Night Football. And Thursday Night Football, we'll go back here to Week 1. And we had Kansas City's game. Detroit won that game 21-20. We both went with Kansas City, so we both got that game wrong to start things off. Atlanta beat Carolina, so PJ got that wrong. I got that one right. Cincinnati had a terrible game against Cleveland, could barely score any points, so we got that one wrong. Jacksonville taking care on the road of the Indianapolis Colts, so we got that one right. And then from there, we go to the Minnesota matchup, and the Minnesota Vikings lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers by 3 points, 20-17. So we both got the Minnesota game wrong. And then from there, we look at the Tennessee matchup. New Orleans beat Tennessee by 1 point. I thought about picking Derek Carr in this game, and I did not. So we both got that one wrong here. With 16 games with 32 teams all in action, Pitt had an abysmal performance at home against San Fran, so we got that one wrong. Lots of X's, not a lot of O's here. PJ and I playing tic-tac-toe with our wins and losses, and we got more X's than O's, which is not good. Washington handled Arizona in a close game at home, so we did get that one right. And and then the Baltimore Ravens were able to take care of business against Houston at home as well. We weren't worried about that game, so we got the Baltimore one correct. PJ picked Chicago. I went with Green Bay, so I got that one. And then Denver and the Vegas Raiders. He went with Denver. I went with the Vegas Raiders, so I got that one right. And then Philadelphia in their matchup that they had against New England, they win that game 25-20. We both had Philly, so we both got that one correct. And then the Chargers and Miami in a close game 36-34. PJ picked the Chargers, I picked the Dolphins, so I got that one right. And then we both went against each other on the Rams going up against the Seahawks. The Rams end up defeating the Seahawks, so PJ got that one correct. I got that one wrong. We picked the Giants over Dallas. That game was 40-0. That was not a good game. And Buffalo tried to give this game away a million times, and eventually they did. So we got a lot of X's on the board here. PJ starts off the season with a record of 5-11 in week 1. So 5-11 in his picks there, and I end up with 8 wins, so I'm actually 8-8. So I start off the season at 500 in the NFL. PJ starts off the season at 5-11. Your thoughts, PJ?
Well, there were some close games. I'm surprised on some of those scores and some of those wins. I guess I didn't do enough homework on them. But this is the best. This is the best league in the world. So there's never an easy game anywhere, anytime, any place. So this is a good lesson to learn, because there are some serious teams out there that can play both at home and away and win. So let's hope that we do better this year.
Yeah, I mean, listen, and I don't think it's necessarily homework. There were a lot of games that people didn't anticipate. I don't think anybody anticipated that the Giants at home wouldn't put up a single point against the Cowboys. So definitely we're looking at some interesting games here in Buffalo with Aaron Rodgers going down in the first few seconds. What are your thoughts on that, PJ? Aaron Rodgers with an Achilles injury taking him out the entire season. He was the quarterback of the Jets on the field for 3 plays, and that was it.
Absolutely shocking. Shocking. When you see him went down, I saw his foot twist. I'm sure it's an astroturf injury, which is the NFL can say all they want, but that's an astroturf injury. I knew when he twisted it, he wasn't going to get up. So whether it was a knee or what else, we didn't know at the particular time. He put so much effort into what he was going to do this year with a new team and new management staff, new players. He was going to make believers out of the Jets and the Jets fans. Unfortunately, it wasn't to be.
Yeah.
It sort of turns the entire league and the schedule upside down. No one wants to see any player hurt. That's period. But when you got a star of his magnitude, several year MVP, I don't know what to say other than it's really shocking. He's going to have to. What I'd like to see him do is, maybe get his surgery or whatever he's got to do, and maybe huddle on back to the staff and sort of mentor Taylor. Just stay with him, help him during meetings and things. Obviously, he can't go on a field or anything, but talk to him on the sidelines. Help him manage the game. Look, Taylor's no dummy. I mean, he's a good player. He may not have the best year last year. Maybe he was put in too early, but he's a good player, and I think that Rodgers could probably help him more now as a mentor than as an elite quarterback. So we'll see what happens. You can't really say that the Jets can be favored in any more games for the rest of the year because of what happened.
Yeah, and Zach Wilson, taking over again, and it's a guy they drafted right behind Trevor Lawrence in Trevor Lawrence's draft 2021 when he was the number 1 overall pick, and then Zach Wilson was the number 2 going to the Jets. So, we shall see. Hopefully, Zach Wilson, hopefully this helps him. Hopefully, it lights a fire and it gives him an opportunity. I don't like people counting people out. And, what do they say? When they counted me out, I counted myself in. So I hope that Zach Wilson does exactly that, and I hope that things move forward. But I agree with PJ. You can't really favor the Jets in any game now moving forward. But the hope is that they can find their way and they can, navigate through this adversity with grace and with hard work and dedication and determination and a whole lot of faith, band together like they did in this game, where the defense and the special teams carried this team, carried the offense, gave them every opportunity. Jordan Whitehead, not only did Josh Allen have 3 interceptions, they went to the same guy. Jordan Whitehead, safety on the Jets, and a fumble recovery for the Jets as well on a fumble by Josh Allen. And then to see, Zerline do what he does, and then Xavier Gibson, who makes the team as a backup wide receiver, and he returns the overtime punt for a touchdown to end the game going away 22-16. So, I got to give credit as a full team victory when you see a game like that. That is a 1,000% full team 3 phases victory, and you don't always get to see something like that. So I loved it.
Maybe if I call him Zach Taylor, he'll win more than Zach Wilson.
You call him Zach Taylor, he's got a chance at the playoffs. So, the head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals. So, PJ, let's jump into it here. Our Week 2 predictions are going to start tonight on Thursday Night Football. Minnesota at Philadelphia. Who do you got?
I like Philadelphia in this game. I think that they're undefeated. Obviously, only one game, but Minnesota's 0-1. So I like Philadelphia.
Yeah, I like Philly in this one as well. I'm going to give the nod to the Philadelphia Eagles. I talk about the quarterbacks in the NFL, the elite quarterbacks, the top quarterbacks, or the top 2 tiers of quarterbacks. Most of them are in the AFC starting this season, and we'll see how, guys progress. But going into this season, your Justin Herberts, your Joe Burrows, your Lamar Jacksons, your Trevor Lawrences, your Josh Allen's at the time, your Aaron Rodgers, all going in the AFC. And on the NFC side, you have guys that I like. I like upside of Brock Purdy and some other guys out there, and Jordan Love maybe. But at the same time, going into the season, the elite Jalen Hurts on the NFC side, kind of by himself. And I'm going to go with Philadelphia at home in this one. I think they got another run that they'll make a push toward the Super Bowl. It's hard to get back twice. The Patriots and the Chiefs make it look easy. The Cowboys of old made it look easy. And the Packers of old as well. But it's very, very difficult to do. I think Philadelphia is a good team. I think there might be times during the season where they will be most absolutely challenged. And we'll see how they respond to it. But I got Philadelphia in this game on the Thursday Night Football. Heading into Sunday's 1 o'clock games, Green Bay at Hotlanta, PJ. Who you got?
Green Bay at Hotlanta?
Yeah.
I picked against the Packers last week, and because I'm not really sold on this Love kid, but the Falcons are terrible. I think the Packers win just because they show up.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Packers in this one as well. I picked them to defeat the Bears, and Jordan Love had himself a great intro of being the official, for the first time ever, the official starting quarterback of the Green Bay Packers. I've heard some good things about him, and I got some rookie cards of Jordan Love. So the better he does, I go out there and sell them cards up. So, I got my Jordan Love circle, but no, I think Green Bay in this matchup, although I do like the fantasy value of Atlanta, which I talked about this week in Fantasy Football in Focus. Go back and watch it on YouTube and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and it'll be shared on all of our social media. I'm going Green Bay. Las Vegas Raiders going up against the Buffalo Bills, PJ. What do you got? Buffalo, Josh Allen, and you know what? I got to say something about this. My eye doctor, his son, 13 years old, because my doctor was saying he was watching the game with his son. He goes, I don't know what's going on with Josh Allen. And his 13-year-old son said he's got a baby mama. And he looked at his son and he's like, what do you mean? He goes, Dad, think about it. He had the love of his life, a beautiful girlfriend. He cheated on her with this other girl who got pregnant, and now he has a baby mama, and now he can't focus, and he's glassy-eyed. And he goes, Dan, I looked at the TV and I go, oh my God, he is glassy-eyed. So maybe Josh Allen's fumble and interception and inability to focus on the field, maybe it does come from the fact that in his personal life, there's some things going on. Maybe that 13-year-old has some real viable sense here in the game. What do you have for Vegas at Buffalo?
Really doesn't make any difference. Buffalo will show up this week. They were atrocious last week. I don't know, 3 interceptions, a fumble, things like that. He can't do that. I don't care if he's got 20 girlfriends. He's got to win this game.
Yeah, and it's funny because the opposite was for Tiger Woods. The more girlfriends he had, the better he played. So the Buffalo, I'm going to pick Buffalo in this one, but if they somehow lose this game to the Raiders at home, I'm starting to think Buffalo in the top 10 draft picks for 2024 and not the playoffs. So we will see. Baltimore at Cincinnati. Cincinnati is coming off an awful game, albeit Joe Burrow wasn't 100%. And Baltimore is coming off of what I consider to be one of the easiest games of week 1. And I say easy, man, I don't like using the word easy because I think every game is a challenge. But Baltimore played what I thought was the least threat of an opponent, which is the Houston Texans, and they won that game handily. So, Baltimore at Cincinnati, what do you have?
Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow looked like a rookie, man. He looked terrible. I don't know what the problem is. Maybe his injury before the season started, he didn't get enough reps in practice. But certainly he's one of the more cerebral quarterbacks, and he could have used his head a lot more than his arm. The Ravens are Lamar Jackson, and whatever he does, they win or lose. I can't see the Bengals putting in 2 bad weeks like this, Daniel. I got to say the Bengals win at home.
You got to go with the Bungles at home, PJ. I'm going with Baltimore on the road in this one. I don't want to see Cincinnati go 0-2 to start the season, but, then they shouldn't have had Baltimore on the schedule right after. I mean, Baltimore is a better team than the Browns, and I think Baltimore will handle this game. I just hope Cincinnati can get some points on the board. Seattle at Detroit. Detroit won the first game of the season against the reigning national champion Kansas City Chiefs, albeit they were without Travis Kelce and they dropped a bunch of balls, but Detroit dropped balls as well. Marvin Jones Jr., one of my guys that I built a relationship with in Jacksonville, he's back in Detroit, and they're playing at home against Seattle. What do you got?
I like the Lions. They actually played a really good game against Kansas City. Obviously, I think Kansas City should have won the game. Certainly, with Kelce was there, it would have been a no-brainer. But the fact is that Detroit did, and they're gonna come into this week higher than usual, so they're gonna win.
Yeah, I got the Detroit Lions in this one as well. I have them winning the NFC North Division. When you and I were doing our show just a few weeks ago before the season started, we sat next to each other, picked our divisional champions live in the moment, and picked our wild card teams. I picked Detroit to win the NFC North, and I like the way they've started the season. I'm giving them 2-0 to start this season. The Los Angeles Chargers and the Tennessee Titans in Tennessee. Los Angeles Chargers coming off of a close loss to Miami, while the Tennessee Titans are coming off of their game where they were behind the Saints and Derek Carr by 1 point on the road, 16-15. What do you got, PJ?
Watching the Chargers in Miami, it was fun. Go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I still don't understand how Los Angeles lost that game because Tua to me is not the type of player that he was in college, even though he threw for 1 million yards in the first half. I mean, he just looked like a better Tua, but I think the Chargers can come in here and sneak this one out.
Yeah, this one I go back and forth with. I'm going to pick the Chargers in this game. This is the West Coast coming to the East Coast. Normally when the East Coast goes to the West Coast, it's a big-time struggle. I'm going to pick the Chargers. I think the Chargers have more firepower and maybe a little bit of a better defense, so I'm going to give them a slight edge in this matchup. Chicago at Tampa Bay, PJ. The undrafted rookie running back, who's one of the greatest running backs in the history of Syracuse football, made the team, and he may end up becoming the starter, definitely getting some reps, and he was out there in his debut in Game 1 playing on the field, and that's number 44, Sean Tucker, playing in Tampa Bay from Syracuse, and grew up hailing from the great state of Maryland in Owings, Maryland. What do you have for Chicago at Tampa Bay?
The Bucs showing a little bit of guts here. The Bears, no. I think I like Tampa Bay mainly because they're at home. And Baker Mayfield, he's not the most popular guy around, but he's a hell of a quarterback. And when he's on, but he can be an absolute jerk at times. Fortunately for them, I think he's going to do much better than normal, if there is such a thing with Baker Mayfield. So I like Baker Mayfield and the boys.
Yeah, I'm going to pick Tampa, and I have a belief that the Bears. This is what I'm going to say about this game with Baker being the quarterback in Tampa. Chicago might score the Baker's dozen, which is 13, but Tampa's going to take care of business in this one. I'm going with Baker Mayfield, although I think Kyle Trask will be the quarterback at some point this season, hopefully because of decision and not injury. I hope that, if he does get out there, it's not because anything happens to Baker. I like this game. I'm going to be excited to watch Sean Tucker. I'm going Tampa. I would probably try to sneak down in this game if I didn't have a game to go to, which is the next one we're talking about. Kansas City at Jacksonville. This one should be Sunday Night Football. This should be Monday Night Football. This game should be prime time. But right now it's at 1 o'clock, and it's going to stay at 1 o'clock. This game is on CBS. Kansas City at Jacksonville. This game might actually be a game that everybody sees in America. Normally, you get blackouts, you get this thing moved and this and that. Jacksonville doesn't typically get the national TV exposure, but Kansas City at Jacksonville is a big-time game, and it is a rematch from 2 games last season, both played in Kansas City, a regular season loss by the Jaguars on the road at Kansas City, and then the last game of the season for the Jaguars was in the second round of the playoffs where they lost to Kansas City by 8 points on the road. So what do you have for this one, PJ, as we have a rematch, and Jacksonville knows all too well what it's like to go to Kansas City and have their season end. I think they want to send Kansas City back home feeling the way that they felt last year. What do you got?
Yeah. Revenge is a bitch on this one, boy.
Yeah.
This is the game I think that the whole nation has been waiting for since the beginning of the season. Knowing how good Trevor Lawrence is going to be. But Kansas City can't win without Travis Kelce. They have to win with Travis Kelce. Now, Kadarius Toney, even though he's a Gator, Tony, do something with your hands, bro. You can't catch the ball anymore. My goodness. Plus, Chris Jones is signed now for Kansas City, backing up their defense. And Kelce is supposed to be quote-unquote probable.
Yeah.
If Kelce plays, they win. If Kelce doesn't play, they lose. But I'm going to say Kelce is going to play, and the Chiefs are going to win. I hate to do this, Daniel. I hate to do it, but the Chiefs will.
Biddy bum 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 bum. Yeah, I mean, I listen. This game is really hard for me to pick. Everybody knows where my heart is, right? And I'm an impartial broadcaster, and I tell people all the time it is a cardinal sin to pick your favorite team just because that's your favorite team. So that is not the world that I'm living in with this. I'm looking at this game, and I'm really thinking that Jacksonville knows. Doug Peterson knows. Trevor Lawrence knows. Andre Sisco knows. Travis Etienne knows. Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, Roy Robertson Harris, Foye Oluokun. They know what that game was last year. They know what it felt like. And to me, they had to play that game up against Travis Kelce, who was a pain in the butt to play. They had a lot of things going for them, and at the same time, they've been working, they've obviously they went through adversity. They had a lot of things going for them, but they knew it was an uphill battle. Now they have a chance to turn the tide. Detroit's a really good team. And Detroit and Jacksonville were arguably the teams that made the most giant turnarounds last year when you looked at Detroit and you looked at Jacksonville. And I think both of those coaches should have been co-coach of the year. So going for Campbell and for Peterson. So when you look at this matchup and you got to pick Kansas City or Jacksonville in Jacksonville, it's Everbank Stadium again, by the way, folks. First game back at Everbank Stadium. It was TIAA Bank. It was Everbank, then it was TIAA, and now it's Everbank again. At Everbank Stadium in Jacksonville, Florida, God willing, I will have my butt in the press box watching this game for year 13, my grandfather's lucky number. I think Kansas City's got a really good shot of blowing this one out of the water. And I also think that if Jacksonville stays relatively mistake-free, like one or less, they got a shot to win this game because they made a couple mistakes in the playoff game and they lost by 8. And if they didn't fumble the ball close to the goal line, we're talking about potentially a tie game. And then there's another play where they could have intercepted the ball and that could have changed it. An interception and not fumbling the ball, those two plays could have meant Jacksonville moving on in the playoffs and Kansas City not winning the Super Bowl. I mean, think about that, how close they played the Super Bowl champion team. So, to me, Jacksonville knows what they have to do. They know what they can do. But playing Travis Kelce, if he's out there, playing Pat Mahomes, this is going to be a rough game. However, they are a rough defense. They are tenacious. They have gotten better. They're arguably heading toward the line, and maybe they'll pass the line of the defense in 2018 that almost made the Super Bowl. I believe in Jacksonville, and I also believe that Kansas City is working on becoming a dynasty. This game is a playoff game in week 2. And I am torn, but I believe that Jacksonville knows that they lost that game, and maybe Kansas City didn't beat them the second time around like they did the first time as much as they lost that last one. So I know that there's a feeling in my stomach I might feel at the end of this one, but I also know what it's like to pick the Jacksonville Jaguars to be one of the only people in the country that did. And that's what I'm doing again. Jacksonville over Kansas City in a game that might make your heart stop. I'm going with the Jaguars. Next game up here.
You got some cayons.
Hey, I took some chances last year, and it worked out. And, you got to take some chances here where you think you can. This is a game that has been on my mind because of last season. And I'm sure it's no different for Trevor, Doug Peterson, and everybody else. They're coming into Jacksonville. And Jaguars fans, Duval, you better show up on Sunday because you showed up the last two games at TIAA Bank Field last season. You showed up, and that was huge. 2 of the best games I've ever seen the Jaguars play: Tennessee and the playoff game against the Chargers. 2 of the greatest teams I ever saw, and you guys showed up. People have laughed about games last season when the Giants came into town. There were more Giants fans than Jaguar fans. It sounded like a Giants home game. That was embarrassing. And toward the end of the season, as time moved on, you showed up for your team. I hope you start the season the way you ended last season. I hope you pack the bank, and I hope we lock them in the bank, and I hope their checks bounce. I hope nothing goes through for the Kansas City Chiefs, but you got to make that happen, folks. You have to do that. That's the fan in me talking. The broadcaster in me talking thinks that Jacksonville's got to be almost perfect in this game. But you know what it's like to lock the bank and make sure the checks bounce. You got to do it in this game because this game is a statement for the Jaguars. We all know what we think the Jaguars can do. Now they have to do it. And I can't wait to be there. Indianapolis at Houston, PJ, what do you got?
Indianapolis at Houston. Indianapolis, Houston. They're both going to be terrible this year, Daniel. For one thing, but I think Indianapolis can win this game.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I gotta go Indy. I mean, Anthony Richardson and now if Anthony Richardson's healthy and he's good enough to go here as well, but Houston's just a team that I think they could be fighting for the number 1 pick again, and Houston's just been reeling, for a while. Indy's got some good things going. They got some talent. They don't have Jonathan Taylor right now, but if Anthony Richardson's able to go, Michael Pittman, I think Indy's going to be able to take care of business. I don't think Houston is a team that is that much of a threat early on in the season, so I'm picking Indy. San Francisco at the Los Angeles Rams. San Fran blew out the Steelers on the road, and the Rams took care of business in their opener as well when the Rams went to Seattle to the 12th man and beat them by 17. What do you have for this one? San Fran at the Rams.
This is a hell of a game here, Daniel. How good is Brock Purdy, though? My goodness. He's as good as he was last year before he got hurt. And the Rams got Matthew Stafford still struggling away. I'm going to go on a limb here. I think that the 49ers can beat the Rams here. I think Purdy pretty smart. That's what I like about him. He may be the last guy that was chosen in the draft, but the kid is smart. He knows how to play football. He knows what to do, where to do it, how to do it. He doesn't make mistakes. I mean, of course, me saying that, he's probably going to screw up. But the point is that the Rams don't have anyone that can match up with McCaffrey. And McCaffrey could get 30 touches this game, for crying out loud, if that's the case. Yeah. I really like the 49ers.
Yeah, I like the 49ers too. And I've said since the beginning, I don't like that Brock Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant, is what they call the last person drafted, because he was anything but irrelevant at Iowa State from 2018 to 2021. 2250, 3982, 2750, 3188. Those were his passing yards from being a freshman all the way to his final year there. He played in 10 games, 13, 12, and then 13. His completion percentage, 66.4, 65.7, 66.6, 71.7. He was a 67.7% overall completion percentage quarterback at Iowa State inside of the Big 12. His touchdowns, 16-7, 27-9, 19-9, 19-8. When you talk about interceptions, never threw double-digit interceptions in a season. Finished off his time in college, 81 touchdowns, 33 interceptions when it comes to passing touchdowns. He had better numbers, and I thought he should have been drafted higher in a draft where they didn't think the quarterbacks were necessarily as deep. Well, guess what? I'm excited to say that I believe, like I said, in the upside. I'm looking at some good things with Brock Purdy, and people around me these last few days have heard me talk about it. So I'm going with San Fran in this matchup, and I agree with you. Who can match up against Christian McCaffrey? Not many. So CMC is going to get it done, and I got San Fran doing it. Although I am proud of the Rams for starting off the season with a win, since they've taken a lot of disrespect, and I think they're off of a lot of radars right now. The New York Giants, who were awful. The only thing more see-through than the Giants' defense were their pants in the rain in that game. The New York Giants and the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals, they come into the season not looking great. The Giants don't look great. These two teams used to be in the NFC East when there was 5 teams in certain divisions. Now they're playing each other. The Giants at Arizona. Who wins this game, or do they both just lay a goose egg and go home? What do you think, PJ?
Who cares? Listen, go back to the Rams a little bit there.
Yeah.
They must feel good, and Purdy must feel good, that the rest of the NFL got him wrong. How many teams we got? All of those teams got it wrong when it came to Brock Purdy, except the 49ers. Now, what does that tell you about their scouting, whatever they do, all their analytics and all this other junk that they do? It ain't working, folks. Not with a kid like this. Yeah. How this kid got through, I don't know. And when I went back and looked at his stats at Iowa State, I says, no, this can't be the same kid. It is the same kid. He's a hell of a player, period. Anyway, enough for me. All right, let me go back to what we were talking about. Someone's got to win this game, Daniel. Someone's got to win this game.
You would think.
And I think the Cardinals do because they're playing at home. But the Giants, there was a lot of criticism of the Giants after losing this game. A lot of players came out and said, Jones should not have been in the game in the fourth quarter. They risked injury with him. They weren't going to win the game. He was getting killed. They brought in a different offensive line. It's true. Jones had no business playing in the third quarter or fourth quarter. Yeah. So, those guys are right. Someone has to win, though, and I think the Cardinals do this here.
Yeah, I'm picking the Cardinals because they're at home. I mean, I don't feel great about the Giants. Keep in mind, the Giants last year when Saquon Barkley looked like Saquon again, I prognosticated that the person that would get him to look like Saquon again was their running backs coach, DeAndre Smith, because he is a running back guru. And where is he now? He's with the Colts. He's not there. And all of a sudden, the Giants are struggling, and he helped out all the running backs there. So, DeAndre, shout out. When you're there, they were looking like a playoff team. When you're not there, it's a different world. Granted, I know he was one member of the staff, but he did, good things happen to good people, and he's a hard worker, and he's not on their staff this season. He's with the Colts. I'm picking Arizona at home. I hope James Conner has a huge day because I love James Conner. Covered him in college, and his story is incredible. He went up to his head coach, Pat Narduzzi, at Pitt when he was in college, and he said, "Coach, I have cancer. I'm going to go beat it, and I'll be back." And then he went and beat cancer and came back on the field, and then he got drafted in the NFL. Kid's a stud. Kid's awesome. Love talking to him. Love everything about his story, and truly happy for him. So big ups and much love to James Conner. You deserve it. Go get it this week. I want to see 100+ on the ground from you. New York Jets at the Dallas Cowboys. Zach Wilson going up against Dak Prescott. Dallas, hopefully they're not feeling themselves because they got to stay focused. And the Jets, well, they got that team win. I do want to let everybody know, if you're in Arizona, in the Phoenix area, in the Glendale area, if you're in Arizona this weekend, you can go to the Arizona Cardinals New York Giants game in Arizona for $17.
This is going to be good, really. Are you kidding me? Look at the NFL gurus were probably looking at the whole schedule that Aaron Rodgers is going to play. And they said, God, this is going to be a great game. We're going to make a lot of money this week. We're going to sell a lot of ads. Well, it ain't happening. And the Cowboys are just too good and too big, too strong, too fast. The Jets are really going to be humbled here.
Yeah, I mean, I got to go. I'm going with the Cowboys in this one, but I think the Jets, I mean, they could squeak some games out this season. They could do some good things here because they have a strong defense and because, they know how to band together. And Garrett Wilson has one of the best catches of the season along with Zay Jones. Two of the best catches that you might see in your lifetime happen in week 1 of the 2023-24 season. If you don't believe me, go back and check Zay Jones at Colts and go back and check Garrett Wilson at home for the Jets against the Bills in week 1, and you'll know what I'm talking about. I'm picking the Dallas Cowboys in this one, but Dallas, again, stay focused. Next game up, Washington at Denver. Apparently it's not a Nate Hackett problem because the Broncos couldn't break 20 in this game. What do you think for this one, PJ? In week 1, they couldn't break 20, I should say. Washington at Denver.
Well, certainly Russell Wilson has to play a lot better than he has been, including last year. Russell, you got to wake up, bro. But they're playing at home. I think they got too much. I think Denver wins.
Yeah, this one is a toss-up for me. Washington, Sam Howell, I said he would start toward the end of his rookie season. He did. The Denver Broncos, I might have been one of the only people not dogging Nate Hackett, and that's because I've known him for a decade. And if you think that man isn't intelligent in the game of football, you're not paying attention to the game of football. I think the problems went beyond him, and I think that maybe arguably you saw that. I'm going to go with this. I'm going to go with the Commanders in this one. PJ's going Denver. I'm going to go with Washington in this matchup for them to win this game. I think that they can do it on the road. And we'll see how we go here as we step forward. I think Washington has more, and I think they can score more, and I think that they have more weapons. Miami at New England, Sunday Night Football, PJ. We'll be watching it. What do we got?
Well, this is going to be a good game, too. I don't know if Tua can repeat what he did last week because he was out of his mind last week. The Patriots, I don't know if the Grumpy Lobster Boat captain, I don't think he knows he's got a very good team this year. I look for him to retire after this year if he doesn't win. I just have a feeling about that. But anyway, to get back to the game, I think they have enough to win. I think they'll probably make life miserable for Tua because he certainly can't match what he did last week. Because to me, that's not a Tua. Tua's a mess-up kind of guy. So I like the Patriots.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go with the Dolphins in this one. The Dolphins squeaked out a win over the Chargers, and I think the Dolphins are, when it comes to their matchup against the Patriots, I don't think the Patriots are anywhere as good. I know that it's Sunday Night Football. I know it's Bill Belichick, but I think Bill knows he needs to make some moves here because this team just isn't shaping out. I'm going to go with, PJ. PJ said New England here, so let me scratch that off. PJ's going New England. I'm going Miami in this matchup, and I believe that the Miami Dolphins are going to be able to squeak this out. Keep in mind, folks, what I told you earlier on in the season. I said the Miami Dolphins, with a healthy Tua, are a playoff team, and they could win the division of the AFC East if he stays healthy, and God willing, he does. Monday Night Football is a doubleheader, and Disney gets all the money. It's on ESPN and ABC, 7:15 and 8:15 p.m., both Eastern Time. New Orleans at Carolina, Cleveland at Pittsburgh. What do you have, PJ, for New Orleans at Carolina?
I think Bryce Young is probably going to continue learning his lesson about playing quarterback in this league. Daniel, he's a hell of a player. I just think he's too small to make a difference. I like New Orleans in this game. And the Browns and the Steelers, I like the Steelers.
Yeah, New Orleans, I think Derek Carr, again, I told people, this is the best quarterback that they've had since Drew Brees come under center there. So I'm going to go with New Orleans as well in their matchup at Carolina. I think Carolina's going to take time. And the Browns and the Steelers, PJ goes Steelers, and I'm going Steelers as well. I would like to now Cleveland's coming off of a great week against Cincinnati, and Pitt's coming off a terrible week at home, but they get another home game to show different, and I think that they'll be able to get this one. So I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers at home in the last game of Week 2 of the NFL. I'm going with Pitt to get this dub at home on Monday Night Football over the Cleveland Browns. So with that being said, those are our picks. You can see them on the screen right now, and we are going to take one final step aside, and PJ will come back and run the gamut with some baseball news right after this very fast break. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. As promised, a fast break here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Proud to be here with you every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And PJ here with me this morning and every Thursday on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We have the exclusive rights to PJ, and he is with me on Thursdays for the entire broadcast. We ran through college football week 2 recap and picks, made our picks for week 3, did the NFL week 1 recap and picks and how we did there, and we ran through our week 2 for the entire NFL. We talked about the Jaguars and Duval, and now it's time to talk about Major League Baseball. PJ, you're unleashed. Go ahead.
Okay, this will be a quick one, guys. If you want to look at the wild card standings, they're really on Major League Baseball on the internet. You can follow me when I'm yakking. But we got Baltimore leading their division. Houston and Minnesota are also leading their divisions. Tampa Bay has an 8.5-game lead over 8-game lead over Texas in the wild card standings, and Seattle is even. And frankly speaking, Toronto and Boston and the Yankees have still got a shot to get in here. The Yankees, I don't know how. They were 7-3 last week, so I guess that counts as something. And Minnesota being in the Central Division, you know I don't like the Central Division because they don't win enough. And frankly, no one else is going to be in a Central Division except Minnesota, who's going to win the division. In the West, you got really good baseball. You got Houston and Texas really battling it out. You got Seattle in there, and you've got your favorite team, which is
my favorite team. On which side? In the American?
Well, no, I was going to try to get the Angels in there, but
you're trying to get the Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout that they might all be breaking up after this season.
Sure.
When you say my favorite team, I think Diamondback. That's it. I'm just straight to the Diamondbacks.
I'll get to the dining. In the National League, we got Atlanta is the first team to clinch a division and clinch a playoff. They're the best team in baseball, have been the last several years. They're 96-50. No one else is close. Got the Dodgers leading the West Division. Milwaukee lead the Central Division, 81-64. Milwaukee's trying to hang in there. If they play, 500 ball for the rest of the year, they should be all right. Philadelphia's got a 3.5-game lead in the wild card. The Cubs are +2. And as we speak, Arizona is absolutely even money to try to get a playoff. Isn't that exciting? Yeah. It is. It's exciting. Because I badmouth them all the time because they don't have enough players. But anyway, they're tied with Cincinnati, and Cincinnati is a better one of those teams, but it doesn't matter. They got Miami still a half a game out. San Francisco's half a game out. And, that's it. I mean, there's a lot to talk about. And what I wanted to say this week that I don't have enough time, there's several players that are up for National League and American League Most Valuable Players and National League and American League Cy Young Award winners. It's an extensive list, and I was going to go through it, but we don't have time for that. But next week I'll have another whole list with the way things are going. It's going to be exciting because another couple teams are probably going to qualify other than Atlanta, and we'll see it next week.
Yeah, it'll be exciting. It'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it. My Arizona Diamondbacks continue to push, and they've been doing some good things. They've won some big games, and they'll lose a couple, then they'll win again. So I'm just hoping that when all shakes out and the dust clears, that they will have a place in the postseason for Major League Baseball. It's been a minute, and I got some Corbin Carroll rookie cards, and I got a prospect autograph Corbin Carroll card that I picked up over the weekend in our trade night at GG Cards and Breaks and Collectors Fest 88 at the New York State Fairgrounds in Syracuse. So I got a lot of awesome finds to bring down and show PJ and my big bro Joe. Ooh. So we have a good time. Some good things coming up here, and looking forward to it. PJ, I know you have a busy day today, so I appreciate you taking some time. I will see you, God willing, in just a couple days. Stay safe, stay well. And my prayers are that you have the right doctors, the right medicine, the right help to help out one of God's finest people, and I know that you're going to be okay because you always are. So God bless you. God be with you. Godspeed, and I look forward to talking with you soon.
Okay, we'll see you soon.
All right,
Bye.
take care. That coming from Papa Joe here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life, and we appreciate PJ being with us every single Thursday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Can't thank him enough for that. So we'll take a step aside for our final fast break here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora and wrap up the show right after this. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there, and of course you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100, and also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. This is a special message from 317 at Montgomery restaurant owner Joel Carpenter. Open Tuesday through Saturday for your dining pleasure on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York.
We wanted to be a part of the resurgence of Syracuse. We saw a lot of money being put into bringing people back downtown and thought that, we'd like to be a part of that. I love putting together a good dish where people see it first, they fall in love with it, and then it tastes just as good as it looks. We want to provide the best food in Syracuse that we possibly can, and we want you to leave here talking to your family, your friends about what you had to eat first and foremost, but also our service, and to walk out feeling like you're part of our family. I work out in the front of the house a lot, and I love walking to every single table, asking them how everything is, and people looking at me and smiling and saying, this is the most amazing short rib I've ever had. This is the most amazing filet I've ever had. And Donna is great. Sarah's amazing. Thank you for coming over and talking to us. And then them just being truly happy for the experience that they've gotten.
317 at Montgomery Restaurant, part of the fabric of downtown Syracuse, located on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York. Open Tuesday through Saturday for a unique and memorable dining experience. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Proudly here with you every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on YouTube.com, Facebook.com, both / Wake Up Call DT, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. Once we go live, we jump into the archives. Plenty of shows have been added this week to the archives. Check them out. Our fantasy football show, our exclusive with Yaro Zavaslan after non-conference play finishes up, and women's soccer at Lemoyne in their first ever season as a Division I program. With the non-conference ending, I had an exclusive on the field after their game yesterday, heading into conference play in the NEC with Yaro Zavaslan. You can check that out on all of our podcasting platform channels. So that's up. The fantasy football in focus for week 2 is up, as well as other pieces. And you can find them on Amazon Music, Audible, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Player FM, Podbean, Podvine, Podchaser, Spotify, TuneIn, YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. Big time shout out to all of our incredible partners, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, GG Cards and Breaks, Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, 317 at Montgomery Street. The name of the location is the name of the restaurant. They are open for lunch, and make sure you head out there today for the awesome burger I just put up, which is the Taste of Mexico burger. You do not want to miss this. It's Burger of the Month, so it is on for a limited time on the lunch menu. The Burger of the Month. Get the Taste of Mexico today at 317 at Montgomery Street in downtown Syracuse. Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Pizza Man, K9 Camp Dog Daycare, PB&J's Lunchbox, K9 Campground Dog Boarding, Avicoli's, Great Lakes Honda City, Mother's Cupboard, and of course we are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. It's Fins Up every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You can find your Dolphins here every Wednesday during Dolphin Time at 9 a.m. Eastern Time with AD and DT every first and third Wednesday of each month. And every second and fourth Wednesday, you'll find the Dolphin Dive, diving into stories of student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni. All of our Lemoyne content is available to you by going to youtube.com / wakeupcalldt and clicking subscribe. You can also go to the Lemoyne tab on wakeupcalldt.com, which is under our exclusive partners. And we cannot wait for all the stories coming up with Lemoyne. We under-promise, over-deliver in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership. We are the first to all information coming out of the sports at Lemoyne, including the entire year as they transition from Division II to Division I. Sit-downs with President Dr. Linda Lemura, unfiltered coverage and opportunities with Athletics Director Bob Beretta, and all of the sports when it comes to the coaches and student athletes at Lemoyne on the Heights. So check out all of that on our YouTube channel, as well as wakeupcalldt.com. For more information, go to LemoyneDolphins.com, and as always, Fins Up. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse. The Bobcat Buzz comes to you only on Wake Up Call every single month, all throughout the year. Student athletes, coaches, and administration joining me to tell their stories. We just aired a 4-part series with the men's soccer team. One of those parts being my one-on-one conversation with Nekawan Mark Don III of Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats men's soccer, as well as my one-on-one with Sean Altidore Vio of the team as well. Then we had the sit-down conversation with them speaking on soccer and kind of their journey with head coach and athletics director at Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse, Nick Dimitrievsky, as well as Nekawan and Sean. And then we had a rapid fire with the four of us asking each other questions. That 4-part Bobcat Buzz is available to you on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Make sure to click subscribe. Plenty more coming up with the men's and women's soccer seasons officially have kicked off, and we started this week with the women's soccer team winning their first game of the season on the road in a 3-0 dominant victory as they start off the 2023-24 campaign. Of course, for more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com. And as always, go Bobcats. The Alfred University Saxons are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Saxons every single Monday during Saxon time at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. First and third Monday of each month, you have the Presidential Perspective with President Mark Zupan joining me of Alfred University. Every second and fourth Monday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, the Saxon Spotlight goes into the stories of student athletes, coaches, administration, and alumni. You can get all the content by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and clicking subscribe. For more information on your Saxons, go to gosaxons.com, and as the website tells you, go Saxons. I want to thank Papa Joe for an amazing show today inside of Ma and Pa's Popcorn.com's What's Poppin'. Head to Ma and Pa's online if you're outside of Central New York at maandpaspopcorn.com. And if you're here in Central New York, well, then you go to that snack capital. There is no better place to get your snacks, sweet and savory. 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. We'll see you there at Ma and Pa's. Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. God bless, no stress, do your best. We'll talk soon. Have a fantastic day. And make sure you get out to GG Cards and Breaks. They just restocked, including those tins. And I pulled a Kenny Pickett, downtown Kenny Pickett, from one of those tins. So we look forward to seeing you out at GG Cards and Breaks today and all throughout the week on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, right off of TLF.